TJ, what's up, man? How you doing?
Ryan, what's up, dude? Thanks for having me.
I'm so happy to do this today. I mean, B4 is a product that I've used for many podcasts. I think we were just talking before this. I just had Rob Oliver on the show, the Genius CEO, and I was B4'd out for that episode.
Love
so
it.
it's a great product, and I'm excited to have you here.
Thanks, man. That's awesome. It's so cool to just hear folks taking it in the wild. I feel like sometimes when you have an online business specifically, you get like a little detached, right? All you hear is like, do I get a customer service email or like, you're looking at reviews, but other than that, you don't hear it a lot in the wild. So it's just always so cool for me to hear that. Thank you.
Let's go. That's awesome, dude. So you said we're coming on 1 year of fulfilling product?
Yes, sir. Next week, actually, funny enough, I was at a wedding in Italy last year, and I got like the first Shopify emails, like your order has shipped for all of the first customers. And I just remember being like, oh my God, and like I couldn't focus on the vacation fully because I was like,
You're ready to go.
It's ready to go. And now it being a year later already, it feels like it flew. But yeah, 1 year next week.
I know. What do you think the biggest lessons learned in that first year of business? I mean, it's been like 4 months for me, and I feel like there's already so many mistakes and things that I did that if I knew now, I would have changed. What do you think some of those big levers were for you?
That's a profound question. It's a big question. But if I had to consolidate into the things that I think are the most important, first and foremost, like you just said, we're just falling forward, right? If it's your first time, you can read guides, even if you have an MBA, whatever, if it's your first time doing this, like there are just too many unforeseen factors, right? How do you know if some other company is going to change their name to your name within 2 months? How do you know if something's going to get stuck in customs? Like these are things like you don't even think about. So I'd say first and foremost, right, like for anyone that's like a little nervous, like when you are a type A person and you're an ambitious person, you don't want to make mistakes, but there's no way to avoid it. You can try and mitigate where you can, but there's no way to avoid it. You just got to get in.
No doubt about that.
I'll talk specifically for ecom, but I think it goes for businesses in general, from what I've seen. I think another aspect is that people get hung up way on the wrong things. Right, you're an entrepreneur yourself, and I've had my business. I started it, October 2022 is when I first started working on it, but it's been a year of shipping product, and now that I have a business, people are always like giving me their ideas. Right, I'm sure you get it. Everyone's got an idea. I got this thing I want to do, blah blah blah, and the things that people get hung up on are like, how do I get it made, manufactured? Like how do I build a website? And I'm not downplaying the importance of those things, but those are small fish in the grand scheme of things, unless you have some crazy complicated manufacturing process that is going to come about. They're smaller fish. Marketing and sales, that's like 80-90% of it. And I feel like when people haven't done this yet, they really downplay in their head how important that is and also how hard it is.
Dude, there's no doubt about it. I think that it's funny that we take this conversation here because last night I was lying in bed. I couldn't really sleep, and I have a bookshelf in my room, and it has some like old journals that I had when I was in college. I just picked one up, kind of bored, and the page that I turned to was I ran 2 half marathons in like a short period of time in between, and like I'm not like a runner at all. I was kind of just like a mental test thing. And the journal entry I read was right after the second one, and it was about how I was less prepared for the second one than I was for the first one. But because I had done the first one, the second one was so much easier because I already had like the proof of concept that like I could do this. And then I just elaborated on that, speaking about how it makes taking risks, especially when you're young, so much more important because you know that you could get shit done. Like, you can make it happen when you did it once or when you started the thing. And it's literally just a game of getting started, and then that's probably the hardest part.
The mental psych out that happens. I mean, I speak about this so fervently, not because I'm like on my high horse, because I spent over, excuse my language, a fucking decade doing nothing, being a entrepreneur, telling all my friends ideas, like kind of starting, buying a domain, maybe messing around with a logo maker, but like I spent 10 years doing that and psyching myself out. So when I finally broke past, I'm like, okay, I want everyone to break past now that has the ambition to do it.
Yeah.
100%, dude. Oh, one last thing that I'm going to throw in there too, just as like a fun anecdote. Something I really didn't expect to be so hard is like getting creatives. So like ad creatives, social creatives, images for the website. Yeah, you can make renders and whatnot, and there are ways that, once you figure it out, it's actually not that complicated, and there are methods to go about it. But that was something that I remember, like sitting in this office that I'm in right now when I was first starting, being like, how the fuck do I get pictures of my product? Like, do I just like hit up a photographer and like go to the beach? Like, what do I do? Yeah, that was an interesting one too that came up, but it all ties into marketing and sales and
Yeah.
how are we going to sell this thing?
Can we let's start with that, because that's something I've been trying to figure out for myself, because my product isn't physical. It's literally a sheet of paper that you bring to LabCorp. So I'm like, I'm like, what even are my product photos? Like the whole world of figuring out the creative aspect of it. What has your process been to kind of get to that point now where, dude, from your emails to your website to the product photos, the aesthetic, and it's so professional and it looks so clean. So what was that process like? How'd you find those right people? Because they're hard to come across, the good ones.
Yeah, 100%. So I will throw in the caveat. It's not impressively so, but I do have a decent sized Twitter audience. Like, I don't know what you consider 11,000 followers is, and change. Is that decent? Whatever. It's more than 100.
Mm-hmm.
And that gave me enough access to people where I could find resources. Now let's take a step back. When I was first starting everything, I tried to do everything myself. So I was going in Canva. I was leveraging like all the Shopify themes. I think I spent $1,000 trying different Shopify themes because I was like, oh, it's the theme that's the issue. And then I would like go to a competitor's website and use Built With and like see if I could find the Shopify theme they were using or if it was custom and try and recreate it. And I was taking like the renders that I had made for the concepts of the product and then putting them in Canva and trying to make images. And after a while, I was like, this is ugly and it looks unprofessional. So I did end up paying people. So I would suggest trying and learning yourself if you have the talent, but also like the fees are not that nominal. If I could take the total cost of logos made, all of the mock-ups and renders, my website made, like basically almost all the digital assets, we'll keep video and ad creative separate from this. Mm-hmm. It had to be less than $5,000. Mm-hmm. It had to be like around 4 and change something. It's sporadic, but it's in that range for everything. Like that is not that big of a fee. And even if you go higher end, it's not going to go past 10 for that. And I know that that's a lot to someone just starting. But if you did it like I did it, where I started getting sales and then 3-4 months in realized like, this needs to improve, my conversion rate has to go up, let's have a professional come in. We did that. So that's 1. 2, I appreciate the compliment you gave me on the way that everything looks and the aesthetics. Creatively borrow. I went to 20 different somewhat competitors or near similar type businesses, and I went to their websites and I looked at everything and I was like, oh, I like this. Oh, I like this. Oh, I like this. Let's combine these and these. They're 8-9 figure companies, some of them. They spent a lot of money thinking about color theory and design and all this stuff. Take it. I mean, you don't copy it exactly. You don't want to infringe on them, but if you like the way that they're doing this logos and the placement, and then you like this other company, the way they have a color at the top, do that. And if you combine that with finding a decent designer from your network, you should have no problems getting that stuff done.
Yeah, I love that comment there, because like a lot of these creative endeavors, it's more like being a DJ than an artist, where you're taking all these different things and you're putting them together into your own thing versus being the artist, like theorizing away, pondering what's the right thing and just like making it from scratch. Everyone copies, and that's not a bad thing. That's like part of the game, and you take little pieces of everything and it becomes your thing. And I think that's just such an important note, because like you don't realize that at first.
Yeah, man, 1,000,000%. I will say though, there's also a caveat here. There's an also watch out for. And I got this advice when I was first starting. I was talking to someone who's very knowledgeable in the e-com space, and they have their own huge e-com. And and he was asking me questions about like who are the competitors, who are like the main people that you think are closest to your product, and I listed a few, like, you know, you always got to throw in Alpha Brain and things like that. And he's like, just remember something, you're not them, you're just starting, right? So for example, I can't just run an ad and send someone to a product page. That's not how it works, because no one knows who the heck Ramp Health is. Granted, now we have some traction and things are different, but when you're first starting, you have to use like direct response. You have to be really strategic in your marketing, using landing pages, different copy of how you're getting folks to the website, telling them who the hell you are. It's not when you see a Toyota commercial, it can have Matthew McConaughey in it or whoever they have these days, right? Because that's a whole different game. So that's the caveat, where you should copy some things, but you need to be smart in remembering that you were small and scrappy at the start.
Yeah, it's a whole different game. Like when people know you versus having to build that credibility on the front end of things versus already having to create credibility from being Joe Rogan or having Joe Rogan as the face of the product, you know? It's a whole nother game. And so that's something that I'm super curious about. Like, how do you then get people, like, how do those two approaches differ? You mentioned some of the things with copy and landing pages and stuff, but how do you go about figuring out how to properly do that, since it is that somewhat of a different game?
Yeah, this is a big process, or like this is a decent thing to talk through, but let's go into it. So first and foremost, I focused on product, right? Like the one advantage that I had was, and you gave me a little bit of an endorsement at the beginning, but I like to think that we have one of, if not the most efficacious formulas and dosages for a supplement of this type that's available right now.
And I have to say, the dosing with you guys versus like L-theanine, for example, like having 600 milligrams, that's what it is, right? 600 milligrams of L-theanine. It seems like a heroic dose, but when you actually like break it down and look at like the studies, that's what they're studying, is that higher dose, not what's on your double Woods bottle of L-theanine that's 100 milligrams. It's like where you're actually getting the results that have been studied, it's 600 plus milligrams. So like having that is it's a game changer.
I have someone much smarter than me that helps me with these things.
I love it.
You know, even when we can get into an origin later about like how I came about it. But yeah, it's going back to the message of, you know, find people around you that are smarter and ask them questions. But I digress. We were just talking about how to see like what the problems are and how to improve with marketing, right? Like all different metrics. So Shane Hunter on Twitter, if anyone follows him, great copywriter. So he's been a little bit of a mentor to me and helped me a lot. Shout out Shane. He said the phrase, be scientific about it, right? And the way to think about this all is like, I'll give you examples. Instead of getting philosophical, let's give like hard examples. We are running an ad campaign. I have 5 different creatives. They are 5 different flavor variants of B4, and they have slightly different copy. Maybe one says take the edge off, maybe one says a pre-workout for life, blah, blah, blah. So I have like different copy on them, and I'm running them as an ad set on a campaign. I spend $50 a day because I'm starting to test on Meta, and I want to see how they're going to perform. I noticed that 2 of them are getting clicks, and I start to turn off the others maybe and just focus on those 2, right? So they're getting clicks. Let's say it's like a 4% click-through rate. Okay, good. My creative is being somewhat effective. You know, there's certain benchmarks, and we can get into that later, but like let's say 4% is like a really good click-through rate on my ad. Awesome. But no one's converting. No one's coming to no one's actually clicking buy when they come to the website, even though I'm getting 4,000 people coming to the site for every 100,000 impressions that the campaign gets. Okay, that means that one of 2 things is happening. Either the people being targeted maybe are not buyers, like they're interested in it, or they're just click happy and they're potentially not the right people, or maybe my landing page is not the right page. Maybe they need to be educated more on, maybe they don't know what the hell a nootropic is. Maybe they don't take supplements and they've never taken anything before, as Twitter likes to say, a normie, right? Like maybe this is brand new to them. So if you want to target top of funnel, which are a colder audience that may not be problem or solution aware, we need to educate them more. That's why people do things like, do you know what a listicle is, for example?
Like a listicle meaning, I know it in like the Twitter context, like
No, no, no,
where.
no. So a listicle is like something where you ever seen, and it looks like an article, but it's actually an ad. So it's like, these 5 reasons are why B4 will help you reduce your social anxiety. So that gives me a chance to, you just clicked an ad that was talking about social anxiety. When you click through that ad, it comes to a landing page that says, hey, this article is going to tell you how this will help. Now I have another level of education. I can tell you it's going to do this, it's going to do this. Here's the study that shows that this ingredient does this. And then throughout that, and at the bottom, there's going to be buy now buttons. So as this person is getting more invested and getting an education, now maybe they're ready to buy, and we can go about it that way. So that's just one example of the thought process going into this. You have to look at the numbers. You have to spend money, because there's no way to do it without spending money on ads. And then you have to see what's working and what's not, and try and just tweak things nonstop. It's all just an iterative process.
Mm-hmm. There's no doubt about it. And I think it's what's so useful about being on Twitter and like having that starting point. There's the 2 sides of it. There's one that you don't need always to start with ads and go all in on that when you don't have the proof of concept. When you could just like tweet it out, you have a decent enough size audience to know if this is a proof of concept that people actually want, and then you could have that money from that initial push to then put it into ad creatives and testing the ads and that whole type of thing. So it, like, although it is costly, it's all kind of a part of the process, and it's money that's coming from the business versus from your pocket at the start.
1,000,000%, dude. Actually, funny enough, if we're taking a step back, we went right into ads. When I started, I did everything with Twitter influencers, people who were adjacent to the space, and having them push it a little bit. And that's how I proved my concept, right? April of 2023, I believe it was the 14th, I launched the pre-sale. And I just told you that next week, like July 15th, 3 months later, was when I finally shipped product. And I was able to do like more than 5, like multiple 5 figures in sales in the pre-sale in that time. And I was like, okay, at least some people want this, right? It's not zero. It's not like I sold $100 worth. I sold like a decent amount of money. And to your point, that's what kicked off the funding of the rest of the company and take it from there. So that brings up the other avenue. If you don't have ad spend and you're starting, working out influencer deals with a flat commission is really ideal, right? Because if you can work, for example, if you're having ads display on Meta or TikTok, right? You want like a 2 times ROAS, return on ad spend, right? So if I spend $100, I want to make $200, or 3 times, that's ideal. It's hard to get, but it's ideal. With an influencer, if you have 60% margins and I'm offering you a 20% commission, I am automatically getting 3 times my spend back in terms of profits from this, right? So it's just, or technically if we're doing flat ROAS, it's 5 times back in revenues because I'm giving you 20% and I'm keeping the other 80%. Cool, awesome. So these are just things that to think about in terms of when you're starting. You brought up a really good point that when you don't have a lot of money and you need to get scrappy at the beginning, to go about it. And plus, I still do use influencers. I think that it's a great way to go about it if you can find the right niche and the right person with an amount of influence.
Yeah, that's all I've done so far. Is just
good
the Twitter influencers, and it's the other side of that, especially with the ad creatives as well, is like if you're tweeting about the product, you already like know which tweets or which things that potentially can be elaborated on for ads and landing page stuff, copy that works because you saw that people in that Twitter niche were interested in that. So like if you tweet like the kind of like that article that you're running as an ad, like the 5, what was it?
Like a listicle, yeah.
Like a listicle.
One example, yeah.
Yep. And then if you tweeted that out on the front end of things, you kind of get somewhat of an idea of how that will do as an ad, just because you have a little bit of proof of concept.
Yeah, man, 1,000,000%. I'm gonna throw something in here. Anytime my ADHD brain thinks of a side tangent, I'm gonna throw it in, but it's related to this. So you and I are both on Twitter, right? We follow each other and whatnot. And if anyone listening to this, probably because you have a Twitter audience, may be on Twitter or utilizing it. We should say X probably. Something that I took from someone else. Actually, I think Bowtied Gator, if anyone knows, with Biome, he's really, really good at this, and I try to
doing an amazing job.
Amazing, but it's the soft sell and not pushing things too hard, dude. If you've built up an audience for being you're funny, or you talk about like a specific thing, like if you are someone who's really into just like eating well or fitness, whatever, and then all of a sudden every tweet you send out you're pushing a product, everyone's gonna be like, oh dude, shut the fuck up. Right now, once they're a customer, send them as many emails as you want from your brand's Twitter account. Tweet as much as you want about the brand, that's fine. But when you start mixing a personal brand with your brand, you need to be very strategic in how often you go about it, right? I probably don't even do it enough of like talking about my own product. It's more so responding to people tweeting at me, or like very occasionally I'll think of something when I'm like taking a dump or something and be like, you know what, this will be funny, and like throw it out there. Or you have a really negative customer service interaction with somebody because they're being ridiculous, and you use a word related to them as a discount code and put it live on Twitter, right? Like it's just some funny stuff like that. But in general, I think people need to be very cognizant. Like, yes, you need to sell. Yes, you need to be pushing your product. But when you mix a personal brand in, do not throw it down people's throats.
I've been trying to study Vance in that regard.
He's good
because
at it. He's really
good at it, because it's like, he has this product, Methylene Blue, that outside of, I guess, like no one knows about Methylene Blue. So on one end you have to educate people, and on the other end, like you can't be just like a freaking talking head for Methylene Blue and exhausting your audience with that 24/7 on Twitter. Like there's one thing, like you were saying before, when it's in emails and they're a customer. But yeah, it's a hard balance to strike up.
Yeah, but once you get it, right? You just start to feel it. And if you were able to get the feel to build any type of audience in the first place, you have the feel. You know how to do it. So then it's just a matter of over time just getting that voice. Yeah, shout out you, Vance. You're doing it.
Yeah, let's go. Shout out, Vance.
I'm not patronizing. This is genuine.
And so one thing that when you mentioned Bowtied Gator, I wrote down to bring up, because like, have you seen the stuff he's doing on TikTok Shop with TikTok Shop?
I talk to him very often. Him and I are friends.
Mind-boggling. I'm like, I get Biome TikTok Shop creators all day on my feed, and it is they're very, very, very good at it. They have the sauce. They have the TikTok sauce completely. Yeah. And that, have you been thinking about entering in that world at all? Like it's a whole nother thing, but that could.
So I have dabbled
take
a
the
lot
top
with
off
TikTok. I have had some success. I have not had the success that they have had. I also have not given it the time that it deserves. I also sell a product that's about 4 times or 3 times as expensive as theirs.
Yeah,
and
that's one of the things.
About the thing about TikTok Shop, right? What makes it so enticing is I can watch a video. This video can invoke an emotion out of me, and then I can just click shop right on that video. And then I just do another click, and now I've bought the product. It's a lot easier to make someone just click buy on an $18.99 or $19.99, whatever. I'm not, and this is not me coping with this. I'm just saying this is what I've experienced so far than my $69.99 product.
Yeah.
That's why when I do
it's a much harder sell.
Yeah, I sell the sample pack there because it's $24.99 and it's a lower barrier of entry. It's one of the reasons why I developed one in the first place. But there's a lot of sauce there, and I honestly don't have enough success on TikTok to feel like I'm somebody that people should listen to about that. People like Gator, for example, are great to listen to, and there's others like Bowtied TikTok that has the Syndicate. They're doing a fantastic job of teaching people how to make money with affiliates. I'm in that Discord. Dude, there are people like $10,000 a day, $15,000 a day. It's crazy how much money you can make on TikTok right now.
I wouldn't believe it if I didn't know people firsthand that are doing it. Like it's one of those things that it's like almost sounds like this can't be real.
Yeah, man, it's nuts. And by the way, everyone listening to this, if you have not started yet and you can't decide what to do, ignore everything I'm saying and go be a TikTok affiliate. Just learn how to make funny TikTok videos and sell someone else's product for a fat commission and do no work aside from that. Because looking back on it, I wish that I wasn't a 33-year-old schmuck that's too old for TikTok and I did that instead.
Dude, it is crazy, that affiliate stuff. I had so last summer I was when I went to Spain for like 2 months, and I sent some tweets out that I was out there or whatever, and got a DM from someone like, hey, living in that area as well, if you ever want to get a workout in, let's do it, blah blah blah. And he was just a personal trainer, cool guy. And then I went back to Spain this summer, and at that time he was living in right outside of London and was just visiting. And then now when I went back this past summer, he was living in Spain, and he was like, yeah, I was a personal trainer, but then from the last time we talked, I started trying the TikTok shop affiliate stuff. You know, I didn't get any traction for 3 months, whatever. And yeah, now I'm doing like 10, 20K a month. Quit my job, moved to Spain, and now I'm working like 2 hours a day on doing that stuff. And it's been life-changing. And I'm just like,
listen to this. Listen to that. Everyone listening, listen to that. That's insane.
Insane.
Oh,
and then you develop so many skills in terms of marketing and sales that then apply to and gives you the financial backbone to then start your own thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't usually buy into like future tellers, but I was just listening to a podcast recently, and the guy was talking about how he believes that every billion-dollar company moving forward, the founder and CEO are going to have a personal brand, and that influencers are going to be more important than software engineers moving forward and stuff too, especially with AI and whatnot. Like, it's going to be the key to business in general is going to be either having a personal brand or any type of online brand, right? Because you can do it with a pseudonym. Look at all these people that are anonymous on Twitter that make a fuck ton of money, right? It doesn't matter whether all that matters is how does your content make someone feel? Good? Great. Are you genuine? Great. They're going to start to trust you. Okay, cool. Now, if you also occasionally recommend a really good product, not bullshit, that just ties in with it. And you just make money. It's just the way of the world now, and whether people want to accept it or not, I think that is what it is.
Yeah, I really do. I think that's the direction things are heading in as well. And the cool thing is on the other side of that with like AI and how the direction of things is like you can do a lot now with a small team. Like it doesn't have to be this huge overhead to scale. Like you can accomplish a lot through just having the right tools.
It's actually mind-boggling.
Yeah,
how much you can do by yourself. Now there are all these AI video tools where you can type in a prompt and it's going to just use stock footage and create a video for you, and then you just write a script and you put it over it and you use 11 labs or whatever to have the voice and read it, and you can make content for days and use ChatGPT to do the research for you, and you can just pump out 10 videos a day without doing anything. It's insane.
Insane. Really is. It really is. And then on top of that, with like TikTok and how good their SEO is, like if you put in like, let's say for you put in like alcohol alternatives into the search bar of TikTok, and then you see those videos that are doing well, and then you can almost like back engineer it. And a lot of that stuff is like AI related. Like you see a lot of the AI pictures and 11 Labs voiceovers, and then you just take that, tell ChatGPT to make a version of that, make 10 different versions of that, test it, and then there you go. There's a lot out there.
It's not that. It's people willing to do the work, Ryan.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down. I literally just tweeted about this today. I said, I have so many people coming to me all the time with their ideas. And I'm not just like saying that. I literally have like multiple times a week someone like, yo, I got this idea. How's Ramp doing? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm always like, what can I say to you to make you actually go home and do this instead of just like daydreaming about it in the shower? How can I get you to just take the action? Also, on the point that you just made, in addition to what Ryan just said about using the search bar, that creator corner for TikTok and then the Meta ads library or the Facebook ads library, that's the other place, right? You just like look up your competitors and see, or in the space, what ads are running. If anyone is running an ad for more than a month, like if it's like 3 months, especially if it's like 6 months, it means that ad is fucking printing. No one's spending money on an ad for 6 months if it's not printing money for them. Take that shit and just copy it. One last shout out, Wi-Fi Money Guy. If anyone follows him on Twitter, he has a tool called Swipe Builder that literally allows you to steal ads. And I don't mean steal in the literal sense, but you can swipe an ad and it will take the transcript for you and all the copy, and then you can put in your brand's information, and it will take the theme of that and the general concept and turn it into something for your brand using AI as a script.
That's Wi-Fi Money Guy.
Yeah, Swipe Builder is his app. It's really, really good.
Got it. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. So, I haven't started running ads yet. It's kind of like the next step for me.
If you don't need to right now, don't do it, homie. If you can make it work right now with what you're doing, don't stop. You don't just start something new because it sounds cool. If you're making money, keep making your money, bro.
Well, so my hesitation isn't that like everything else is working so well that I don't need to do it. It's more of along the lines of like, all right, where is the right place and the right resources to learn how to do this right? Because if you don't do it right, I think obviously, as you know, you can waste a lot of money since it costs some money to run ads. What do you think? What has been some useful tools for you to kind of learn that whole process? Because obviously there's agencies you can hire and stuff, but then, you know, as you've talked about on Twitter in the past, it's like you don't really learn too much doing that. So what's your 2 cents with kind of figuring out the proper way to learn that art?
I mean, the short, snarky answer is just fucking start doing it. Go into the UI and start spending a little bit of money, and then just figuring things out as you go and start YouTubing it, right? So that's one method, and that's kind of what I did. I do have an advantage. I worked in advertising for 6 years on the tech side, so I understood how to track everything and pixeling and analytics and all that stuff. So that was an advantage for me. There are, I know everyone's going to roll their eyes like courses. There are certain courses that are pretty good. Specifically, I think the best one that you can spend your money on is Jason Hornung has the Academy of Advertising. Now, I am going to do a shameless plug here. Wi-Fi Money Guy and I are going to be coming out with, in the next, I'd say the next month, we basically are putting together what you're saying, right? So it's going to be like that course actually included, and then I'm writing an ebook of the entire process of me starting Ramp. He is really, really good at writing copy and email, so the combination of things, and maybe we'll include something with Swipe Builder as well, but it's going to be like a one-time fee. And if you want to start an e-com, like, this is all the shit you need for advertising, and it's not bullshit, and it's not going to be crazy expensive. It's not going to be fucking $5,000, right? It's going to be something that's like, yeah, we're going to make money on it, but it's not an insane markup. It's just going to be like, here you go. Here's the package. If you can't start running ads with this, then e-com isn't for you, kind of deal.
Oof. I need to get my hands on that. I need some early access on that one.
We'll hook you up. But yeah, Academy of Advertising, because I don't have that live right now, is probably the best course. And side note, I took this course. I paid for it for a year, and I went in and made sure that I understood the Facebook UI and his methodology for figuring out creatives and iterating on things and whatnot. And a lot of the stuff I said can be pulled from there.
Whew, let's go. That's super exciting. I can't wait to get my hands on that. What do you think the time frame is going to be?
I don't want to give a hard time frame in case I get lazy, but about a month. Let's hope by end of summer we should have it. Should have it.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
sweet, dude. So I think, we've kind of alluded and danced around this point, but it's like the hardest part is those first couple steps. Getting started is no easy feat, and it's one of those things. It's like you were saying before. It's like, it's what can I do to get you to start this thing? You know. And I don't really know what the things is. I feel like people are looking for like a step-by-step, like, okay, first you want to do this, then you want to do that. Blah, blah, blah.
All right, let's do. I'm going to do start a supplement company right now checklist to go.
Let's go. I love it.
My first and most important point a lot of people disagree with me on, but I don't care. For me, it was the biggest first step. I fucking bought my LLC. It was like $300. You can use, it's called like Buffalo something. I'm having a brain fart right now. You can do it in Wyoming if you want to be anonymous. Yep. Otherwise, you can just do it any of these online, legal, Zoom, whatever. Bought my LLC. Bought my
shout out Wyoming.
Yeah, shout out Wyoming. So, thanks for protecting us. I bought my domain names. I then hit someone up with $500 to make me a logo and give me some colors for the brand. And I started looking at competitors for packaging. While that was all being done, I'll let you write it down if you're writing it down.
Keep going.
While that was all being done, I started cold calling manufacturers. Now, there's a few ways you can go about this. If you want, you can reverse engineer. You just find people's products that are similar to yours and try and use the interwebs to figure out who is manufacturing their product. You can do that. Most supplements have to have either packaged for or manufactured by on there. So some have it, some don't. But if you can find a manufacturer, you can just call them. This, you're going to have to make your own decision if you want to get it made overseas or in the States. There are pluses and minuses to each. I'm not going to get into that right now because this is a checklist. I can talk about that later. But you're not locking in manufacturing, but you want to start having conversations, right? What is their minimum order quantity? How much is each packet going to cost me? Can you utilize my ingredients? Can you make the product in the way that I want? This isn't something that you just make one phone call and you have a product in hand, right? This is going to be like a months-long process, especially for a supplement. You're expecting like from the time you click order, you probably won't have it for 12 to 16 weeks for the first run, right? So get that going as well. Get your manufacturing started. Now, with all of this that I just said, you have not really spent any money yet. Maybe you spent less than $1,000. You spent a couple $100s to start with this. The key here is we do not want to spend a huge sum of money before we have proof of concept. So once we get everything that I just talked about, the next step is going to be make sure your website is live and you can get some renders made of your product, right? So just if you can find a designer to do it for cheap, get a couple renders of what the product might look like. So while you got the LLC, you got the website, you're having manufacturer conversations, starting them anyway, this is when you would test your concept. So run some ads to your website, see if people are clicking it, if they're interested, test different copy, test different angles. You can utilize just image ads with those renders that you got made that just have your value prop. And are people clicking, right? There's a couple of ways that you can actually test demand. You can sell the product as if it's live and then refund people. I did not do that. I had it pre-sale as the button that was on the website. You can even just have it as out of stock and check how many people try to add it to cart, or when they add it to cart, show that it's out of stock. The point is that you're testing to see if anybody wants this fucking shit. The dumbest thing you could ever do is spend 40 grand on inventory for your initial run and no one wants to buy it. And this is not my advice. I'm just repeating something that was said to me 100 times, and then I also used these steps. Bowtie Bull talks about this a lot if any of you read their stuff on e-commerce. But really important. Test your demand. Make sure anybody wants to buy this. So just to rehash the steps so far, the initial setup, speaking to manufacturers, testing demand. So let's say all of that goes well. That the manufacturer can handle your shit, and you sold $2,000, or you had 100 potential buyers that came to the website and tried to add it to cart. Cool, maybe we have something here, let's try it. Try to order the minimum amount of product for the initial run that you can while you're actually trying to sell it, so that you're not on the hook for it. In addition, if you are able to do a pre-sale or sell the product beforehand like I did, you now have additional money to buy more inventory. So depending on how successful that test run is, you can go based on that. And then from there, now we get into all the fun stuff, right? Like, are you going to fulfill these orders yourself? Or are you going to use a 3PL? I happened to opt for a 3PL out of the gate. I had multiple hundreds of orders stocked up before I actually got product, and I was like, I am not fucking doing this. And it costs, a couple bucks per order to have a 3PL handle it, so I just used a 3PL.
And let me say that I've hung out with a lot of guys who fulfill themselves, and their houses are not houses that you want to hang out in. boxes everywhere. Like,
They're not
I,
married. I can tell they're not married.
exactly. That's the truth right there. It
No
is a
way.
hard life fulfilling for yourself.
I had 3 boxes of bags that I had made that were not good, that were sitting in the garage, and I got yelled at for those. So imagine if I had fucking 3,000 boxes sitting.
Oh
in my garage.
man,
No,
I was at someone's house and I walked in, one of the Twitter guys that fulfills for themselves, and they had no furniture, no furniture in their living room, no furniture in their kitchen, boxes, just boxes, and it's not a fun life.
no way, dude. Yeah, so you have to make that decision about what makes the most economical and time sense for you. I decided that my margins were good enough, and I wanted to set this thing up for success from the beginning. So I was going to do it that way.
Yep.
The last piece of this is I keep referencing a lot of bow ties, but they helped me a lot, so I'm going to keep doing it. Bowtied Opossum has a Substack. It's a paid Substack. He has the best, by far, step-by-step guide. It's 7 parts on setting up your Shopify properly. Spend 1 fucking month's paid subscription to his sub and go set up your Shopify in the proper way that he's telling you to. That is somebody with real deep experience in e-commerce on a high scale, on a low scale, and every aspect of it. That guy is a fucking genius with e-commerce. It's literally like $10, and spend the time and set up your Shopify properly. You're not going to optimize everything as we've been talking about. Eventually, I can, as we go on with this checklist, we can get into it. But we're talking about starting, right? Like these are like the most important steps for starting. And then also make sure you set up a bank account and a credit card. On top of that, I know that's pretty standard, but like those are, like, dude, this is it. You need a little bit of cash to start it. You can probably do it for $25K. It's better if you have 50 or 100, but for $25K, you can probably get this done, no problem. And just get fucking going. And then from there, you're going to just have problems that come up and you solve them one by one, right? It's a decision by decision basis. It's not sitting in your room and watching 10 YouTube videos. It's, oh, this problem came up. I need to solve this specific problem. Maybe I'll watch this Hormozy video because he talks about this specific problem. And then just keep doing that for a year, and then you get to where I am, and my company is worth a decent chunk of change now in a year, and it's doing pretty well.
I love how you broke that down. That's a great guide, because the mental masturbation of watching all those videos and trying to getting that dopamine from watching all of the Hormozy, whoever it may be, Mongazi, all those guys. Content, like, it's great, but it's so much better when you are attacking it like on a step-by-step basis, where you're like, okay, I need to solve this problem, let's put it into YouTube, let's see who's talking about this, and then let's solve that, and then move on to the next thing, and going that way is such a better way of going about things.
1,000,000%, dude. And then there's one overarching thing to all of this that I did not speak about really yet. I kind of touched on it at the beginning, but I didn't really speak about it yet. Everything that I just said is easier if your product fucking rules. If you put out shit, it's way harder, right? Like, especially with e-commerce and supplements specifically, we want long-term value. So, for example, I think I have a 35% returning customer rate or a 40% returning customer rate, which is really high right now. The people that buy my product are looking for something like this, and if you know anything about nootropics and supplements to the degree that you can appreciate the ingredients in B4, I think you will buy it again. Obviously, I'm biased. I started the fucking company, but you understand what I'm saying. I think we made something good here.
I can second that, and I didn't start the company, so
yeah, man. Because like, think about it like this: even if I break even on my ads, if somebody buys twice, now I'm a 2 times ROAS instead of a 1 times ROAS. Long-term value, and you're going to get less complaints, and people are going to tell other people about it by word of mouth too. Like, make your product fucking awesome. And you know what? It's not going to be awesome out the gate, but at least if your intention is to make it as good as possible out of the gate, and then also, I have a V1 and V2 of my product, right? My V2 of my product was, what are the most common things I hear back from people? Because customers are annoying, right? Like, if they're saying something little, like, you can mentally tell them to fuck off and then nicely say fuck off. But if you have the same thing coming up, like flavor was something that was very, very, at the beginning, was very, very controversial. Some people loved it. A lot of people didn't like it. The packets were hard to open. A lot of people, ashwagandha was getting a lot of bad press as I launched it, so I removed ashwagandha. So these are things that all of this was based on feedback that I heard from the market when I had thousands of customers telling me like, okay, this is not it. So then when we launched V2, part of my launch, when I sent the emails, everyone was like, hey, you said it, we listened. These are the changes that we made. This is how we made it better. And then when I do V3, I'm going to do the same thing. What are the things that people complain about? Like someone telling me I didn't feel it, I don't take that into account. I just think that supplements sometimes don't affect people. If you do a lot of amphetamines or take a lot of like Xanax or other drugs like that, it may not affect you as much, or some people are just not aware of their bodies. Mm-hmm. So that's something that I can never change. But the other type of feedback, I have to take that into account at all times.
So going back to the getting that website live,
yes.
Do you think people should contract that out, or do you think people should do it themselves?
I think you should start with the free Dawn theme of Shopify.
Bang, bang.
It's the number one theme. It's their front-loaded theme. It's the fastest. They spent the most time on it at Shopify. I don't know if that's changed in the last year, but last I checked, It was Dawn. I don't know.
That's what I use.
Yeah, it does everything you need, and you can customize it there.
Yep.
Look at your conversion rate. So for me, I had a 1.9 conversion rate. I got my website professionally done to what you see it is now, and now I have more than 4% conversion rate. Sometimes, some days I get up to 7%, depending on what type of campaign I ran and if it's email or an influencer or whatnot. But
you have you said a 4% conversion rate?
Yeah, let me pull it up right now.
Yeah, pull it up.
What timeline do you want me to look at?
Whenever.
Let's look at. I launched V2 on April 15th, I believe. So I'm going to go to April 15th. I have my Shopify on my other screen for anyone who's watching or listening. And then I'm going to go to today. My conversion rate is 4.49% for that time. Ooh. On the website. Yeah.
That's impressive, dude. That is impressive.
Well, I can't take credit for it. Shout out Jeffrey Park on Twitter. If anybody wants to utilize his skills and his team, just hit me up and I can connect you, or you can reach out to him directly. Say your boy TJ sent you. But he's incredible.
That's awesome.
He's a Jersey guy like us.
Let's go.
He just has a whole team. He has design. He has copywriting. Like, they do everything full stop.
Wow.
And his prices it's not cheap, but it's fair. It's a fair price for what he does.
For the value. Yeah.
Yeah, man. And they use Replo, and it's all custom too. So it's just exactly what you want. And I just basically said to him, hey, look at these 3 websites. I want something like this. And I gave him my color schemes, and he just went and ran with it.
That's awesome. I mean, I've been trying to figure out, conversions has been an interesting piece for me because my product's very high, price very high. It's a pretty high ticket thing.
Ryan, I am ignorant here. Can you please give me more details on your product before you continue?
So I sell like lab testing. So our most popular product are just traditional blood tests, more extensive than you would get from your doctor.
Got it.
And then we have like third-party stool tests and micronutrient tests from like Genova Diagnostics, some like microtoxins and that sort of thing.
Cool. That's a great product, by the way. I love that.
I appreciate that, but like our average what is the word I'm looking for here? Like
conversion.
The average customer spends over $500 per order. So because it's such a high margin or high ticket, I'm assuming my margins, obviously, conversion rate is going to be a little lower. But so then I'm having trouble knowing whether it's my if I'm having an issue with conversions or if it's just the nature of the product. And that's been a piece of the puzzle I'm trying to figure out.
Well, dude, let's talk about this, right? We just went through this a little bit. Are you getting a lot of traffic to the website from your influencers and whatnot that are coming to the site?
A decent amount.
You don't have to tell me numbers, but I'm saying like there's people coming to the site, right, with interest.
Yep.
They need to be sold more, motherfucker.
Exactly.
We need to sell them more a little bit. Yeah, I mean, it probably is worth it to try a hybrid lander homepage like I have. So if you go to my website, the homepage is not a product page. There's a whole bunch of copy on there and testimonials and things like that because it's a hybrid. And then we have the product page after that, right, that you would go to. You can try something like that with Jeff and his team. They do a great job of doing that. So
Yeah,
that
I have
is,
talked to Jeff.
oh, you have to. Cool.
Yeah, I will. No, I said I have to.
Oh,
I have to.
have to.
Yeah, I got to do it.
100%. And then from there, it's like, maybe do we try a sales letter landing page? Do we try a testimonial landing page, right? Like, what do you want to do? I know some people think direct response is icky, and I did. I pushed against it hard at the beginning when people were telling me how to do it, but you have to
And for
start
those
somewhere.
that don't know, can you explain direct response, like kind of why it has that negative connotation?
Because it's some people view it as like it looks a little scammy, or like it looks a little bit like cheap or greedy or whatever, because direct response means you're trying to get a direct response out of somebody, right? Like, you are trying to get them to buy right then and there. It's not brand awareness or something else like that. So, you're having a buy now, look at this sales offer, blah, blah, blah. Maybe the ad clicks through to a landing page, which is, if you've ever seen one of those walls of text from somebody's offers, that's a sales letter, right? And then from there, trying to convince you to buy. But what company started as direct response? Rolex, Athletic Greens. Some of the biggest companies, they didn't start out having fucking Super Bowl commercials. They started out with an ad in the paper saying how awesome Rolex is. Actually, you can Google, anyone listening to this, Google the Rolex sales letter, or Google there's like some really good Rolls Royce copy. Granted, most luxury brands don't do direct response. They don't need to, but you understand my point, that a lot of companies started out like that. The number one direct response company is V-Shred. Right now, that you've seen. Everything they do is direct response. So if you want
And even if you don't think you know V-Shred, if you put in V-Shred, you would be like, oh, that guy that I see all the fucking time trying to sell me, I don't even know what they sell, like a workout program or
a
whatever.
bunch of different stuff. Yeah, but that's a 9-figure company, folks. So
Yeah,
it's just
I believe
that.
it.
It depends on what you want to do. If you want to try and act like a 9-figure brand beforehand, be my guest. Maybe you can make it work. Maybe you're really good at branding and making content. Be my guest. But if you're anything like me and Ryan here, and you're getting started, it's worth looking into direct response.
There is no doubt about that. So I want to go back to, there's so many different avenues. But one thing I'm super curious about is, like, how do you know what you should be doing yourself versus what it makes sense to contract out?
So I did everything myself for a long time.
Yep.
From my point of view, it's 2 questions. Am I good at this? Does this annoy me? If I'm not good at it...
2 very important questions.
Yeah. Does it annoy me? Get rid of it if I can. And am I good at this? If I'm good at this, I do it. If I'm not good at it, I try to have someone else do it. Specifically with ads, though, I think everybody should learn about ads, and as much as you can, and try, and then maybe use an agency if you want to. I'm not recommending you do. I actually work with an agency in some capacity, but how are you going to know if they're scamming you, dude? If you don't understand what a ROAS is, and you don't understand what audiences are, and you don't track your analytics on your Shopify to see if the number in the Facebook dashboard that's saying you're getting these conversions is actually what Shopify is telling you where they came from, and comparing those. Like, you need to understand these things, because let's just make up numbers. You find an agency, they're like, yeah, we're going to charge you $3,000 a month for creatives, and then we're going to take 5% of your ad spend to run your ads, right? That's like in the ballpark of what an agency might offer you. Sounds good. Did you do the math to see if that even makes sense for you? What if you sell $3,000 worth for that $3,000? Now you're losing money from that agency every single month. Whereas maybe if you ran the ads yourself, yeah, you'd make $1,000, but you're not paying an agency to do it. You're learning yourself, and then you can get the skill, blah blah blah, etc. You understand where I'm going with that?
Absolutely.
So that's the specific one that I think everybody needs to learn.
Have you read $100 Million Leads, Hermosi book? He had that cool agency model that he recommended in the book, where he proposed to agencies, like, I want you, instead of just like running this and me being somewhat ignorant to it and whatever, to like, I want you guys to teach me how to do this, and have it just be like a 3-month thing where you guys are running it, but you're kind of step by step showing me what you're doing, explaining to me why, and so that then I can use your principles to do it myself.
He's I actually don't like the Hormozy hate. He gets some hate sometimes, but I think he's putting out the best business content there is.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I feel like his hate is just because of his. I don't know. He's a hard-working dude, or at least that's the
Yeah, I mean, he
perception that he
definitely has
puts
some
out.
strong opinions, bro.
Yep.
You know, like his marriage stuff and whatnot, and how he talks about working. But like, fucking cares? He's telling you how to
Yeah.
make money. He's giving you the fucking blueprint to becoming a
Yeah.
millionaire. Just do his shit. Listen
Yeah,
to him.
there's no doubt. And he breaks it down so simply. It's a really good resource for people. Leads is such a good book. It's almost like a step-by-step textbook in many ways. And then Offers I haven't read yet, but I know that I've heard incredible things about
You're
as
also kind
well.
of past that phase.
Yeah,
The offer is telling you how to develop what to sell, and then the leads is
exactly.
telling you
Yeah,
how to sell it. That doesn't mean you can't glean information from it, but
of course.
it's a step back from where you're at.
And so going back to the affiliate side of things, which is for a lot of people a great first step when you have that product. What do you think the best way is to like get affiliates to be one, to get them to be affiliates and to get them to actually promote your stuff versus just sign up for it?
High commissions and a lot of sales on the TikTok shop. It's the easiest answer. If somebody
Bang,
sees
bang.
your thing is like Biome, somebody goes and looks at how many sales are happening on the TikTok shop for Biome, and they get a fat commission. You don't have to do shit. They're coming to you nonstop.
Yep.
You can do cold outreach. You can hire a VA to do cold outreach for you. Granted, every influencer's inbox is probably flooded with people reaching out to them. You also have the TikTok syndicate that I talked about, Bowtie TikTok's Discord community. So that's literally hundreds of people learning how to be affiliates right now, looking for an offer to sell. Don't be greedy with your commissions. If I had to give advice, especially at the beginning, like for anybody listening, you want to affiliate for me, I pay 30 to 40% commission. So if you're just starting, I'm going to pay you 30%, and if you sell 10 grand worth, I'm going to up you to 40%. I just flat offer that. And if you're somebody with a huge audience, I'll just give you 40 out the gate because it's a numbers game, right? But you pay people. The whole point of this is you make money, I make money. Let's make money together.
Let's make it a win-win.
Yeah, man. I talked about my margins on this a little bit. I'm splitting profits with you, basically.
Yeah.
So let's fucking make money.
Yeah. So we broke it down from the start. Marketing, sales, two biggest levers, two most important things to really figure out if you're gonna run a successful business. What do you think in that realm we haven't spoke about? What do you think some of those big levers are that we haven't even talked about yet? Because we have broken down most of those key elements, I feel like.
Average order value.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get the amount that someone spends when they come to your website up? That wasn't on my radar. I thought it was like stupid shit. I only have one product. How am I going to do this? But you incentivize it. For example, my product's $70. If you spend more than $100, you get free shipping. For some reason, that $7.99 really annoys people. So they'll buy 2 packs, especially if they were planning on buying again in the future, buy 2 packs. Then on top of that, when you buy 2, I give you a huge discount of I think it's a 15% discount for the bundle. So now you bought 2 packs of B4, you got a 15% discount, and you don't have to pay shipping, right? But at the same time, you spent $100 and something. I think it comes out to like 108 and change if you buy that bundle, compared to the 60 whatever if you just took the initial 10% discount. So you spent more money. You can have post-sale upsell. So with Shopify, there's an app. I'm spacing on I'll get the name of the app.
Yeah, you can figure it out. Literally, just putting in post-purchase upsell on
just
with
Google it.
Shopify.
But I have one that after you've purchased, here's a special offer for you. Thank you for purchasing from us. Because you purchased from us, you can get this for 20% off. You wouldn't be able to get this otherwise. And it holds off on the charge on their card, and if they accept it, then it changes the charge to include that. Right? That's really effective.
That's big. Yeah,
man. Email is the most fucking important thing. Your current customers are your best customers, people who've already bought from you. So sending emails, having cadences, sending out, and don't worry about being annoying. I'm not saying send 2 emails a day, but if you send 1 or 2 a week, you're just keeping yourself on the top of their radar. every single time I run a sale for 4th of July, whatever, there's just a huge spike in revenue. It just happens every time, especially to my existing customers.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. So it's just putting all this shit together. You have a company, Ryan. You know, like it's just one step at a time, like we talked about.
Yep.
Fucking falling forward, figuring it out, and getting yelled at by people who are smarter than you, and talking to people about it, and then bada bing, bada boom. All of a sudden, we're making money.
There's no doubt about it, and like, it seems overwhelming for some people at the start when you're throwing out all these different things and all these different ideas. But at the end of the day, it's like, if you think about entrepreneurship as, and this is not my own insight, it's an insight that was given to me. If you think about entrepreneurship as a game you're going to play for 50 years, and this is your first year doing it, you're in your rookie season, and your rookie season's fucking hard, and there's a lot of unknown. But if you're playing the game for a long time, all the shit kind of works itself out. You figure out all these lessons. You take it step by step, like you were saying, and bang, bang, bada bing, bada boom. You're in the game.
Yeah, man. Exactly. And like, unless you are physically disabled or mentally disabled to a point where you feel that you cannot do this literally, I work a 9-to-5 job. I graduated college with a 2.7 GPA. I have a son. I have a wife. I have a house. I have a dog. I have a mortgage I have to pay. I work out and I go to the gym 4 or 5 days a week. I have a social life. I go see my friends all the time as much as I can. I fucking play pickleball, and I do this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, I know I sound like a dick. I sound like one Mosey right now, but like,
No. I love it. It's such an important note.
What are you doing? The only thing that I can say that is an advantage is I work remote, so I do have the ability to be flexible in that regard. So if you don't work remote, that's definitely a little bit harder. But at the same time, you can, if this is your priority for your life,
You can make it
try to
work.
get a remote job or find a way to make it work. And I don't want to be a hardo about this, but at the same time, like, don't be a bitch. Like, just fucking do it. I'm on the phone with my manufacturer overseas at 11 o'clock at night, because that's just when he's
name of the
awake.
game.
Yeah. I sit at my computer from like 9:30 to 11, and I'm probably browsing Twitter and tweeting and doing other shit, or like watching a video. But on my other screen, I'm taking care of the business. Like, you have it on your phone. When you're taking a shit, you can do 20 minutes of responding to emails or whatever. It's just making the time work, and not just thinking you need these 4-hour chunks every day. That doesn't happen until you're full time at this.
Yep. It's such an important comment, because there's like this preconceived notion that it's like monk mode, grinding away. You're going to be like, this is it. Like, you got to be dedicated to this shit fully. And in some ways that's true. Obviously you have to prioritize it and shit, but you could still have a life. Like, it's not like it's going to ruin everything else by taking this action. Like, it might change some things, but change some things in a good way, give you a little purpose, a little passion. Like, it really is. I think people have this preconceived notion from like the grind set content out there that it's going to be this struggle, that they're going to be up till 2 a.m, and like, that's probably not reality.
No, dude, I'm not a 20-something-year-old in Miami with a rented Ferrari. Like, I live in the suburbs, and I live what you would call a normal-ass life, and do this. Like, you don't have to do that. You can just get it done.
Yeah, that is the truth. TJ, dude, I'm so impressed by you. What you're building with Ramp is absolutely incredible, and this is truly like a masterclass. This was a masterclass in starting a business, and I think people are really going to appreciate this episode. You got me fired up. I got a lot of things written down here that I need to do the deep dive in, and just appreciate you sharing the knowledge today.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you, Ryan. I really I appreciate you having me on, and you asked really good questions. This was awesome. So thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.